Continuing on page 141. Over the years, I have dealt with many bitter husbands whose anger simmers just below the surface. This kind of husband is not sweetly and gently open with his wife. Instead, he is suspicious of her and feels she has an agenda to irritate and provoke him. His wife intuitively knows or strongly suspects he is secretly and constantly mad at her. Paul may well have had this kind of man in mind when he wrote the only negative admonition in the entire New Testament to husbands about how they should treat their wives. Husbands, love your wives and do not be embittered against them. Colossians 3:19. The concept conveyed in the Greek is the idea of a bitter taste in the mouth. To be embittered means you are upset and irritated, exasperated, indignant, and angry. When we talk about a person being bitter, we usually think he is churning angrily inside over some past disappointment. The embittered husband can be harsh, cynical, or resentful. Instead of being open to his wife, he closes off his deepest heart, giving the impression there is very little he finds tasteful about her. The bitter husband has no hope for openness with his wife. Perhaps some degree of bitterness is still a problem for you in your marriage, even though you and your wife have vowed to get off the crazy cycle and start energizing each other. The answer to bitterness is to listen to the gentle prodding of the Holy Spirit. See John 14:17, 26, Romans 8:9. That can work wonders, as one wife's letter clearly shows. She and her husband attended one of our love and respect conferences. Afterwards, she still felt emotionally raw and vulnerable. The next day, he sharply criticized her driving. Sensing she was hurt, he later asked if everything was okay. She told him how she felt. She couldn't please him when she drove, and he argued, saying that her feelings were wrong, making her feel worse. The letter continues, but after 5 minutes later, he came to me to tell me he was sorry, and that if what he was doing to be helpful was in fact harmful, he would stop immediately. Then we hugged and it was over. How wonderful. Just a little thing, but great. Oh, good Lord. Really? Yeah, shh, please. Shh, Mommy's reading. This husband decided to concentrate on his inner man. Instead of rationalizing his negative attitudes and criticisms, he reconsidered. He listened to that still, small voice within. As he opened up to his wife, she felt his love. If only husbands could recognize the power of their love and how badly their wives want it. Here are quotes from different wives who long for openness and a little tenderness. I need him to dig deep and shoot straight and be willing to answer from his heart and not from the emotion of his anger. It doesn't work. Rather than being withdrawn and aloof, my husband has begun to do things I only wished he would have done in the past, i.e., share his heart with me. Amazing things began to occur. He began to reveal his heart. We actually have conversations rather than monologues. Page 143. How will you then live with this sensitive creature? At this point, many a husband might be saying, good grief, I had no idea what I was getting into when I married this sensitive creature. That's right, you didn't. But you should be thankful for your wife's sensitivity and its many facets. Her sensitivity enables her to stay up all night with the kids when they are sick. Her sensitivity is what drives her to wait on you hand and foot when you're down with the flu, moaning and groaning and wanting another Excedrin. Yes, her sensitivity sometimes causes her to feel that you're closing yourself off from her, that you're angry with her. You may be tempted to say, oh, please don't be so sensitive, but better to realize you must take her weaknesses with her strengths. Every husband must make a decision about his wife's sensitivity and needs. He can close himself off and refuse to be open, or he can move toward her and connect with her at new levels of openness. One of the simplest yet most effective steps you can take is simply to share your day with her. If you don't want to talk at that moment, say something like, something happened at work today and maybe we can talk about it later, but right now I'd rather not. There is nothing wrong between us." That last phrase is what she's really looking for. She needs reassurance that your mood has nothing to do with her. Ruru, please. One more page, okay? Ruru, thank you. Just a little longer. I know, can you sing later? When you do talk, be especially wary of sounding harsh. A man is typically quite forceful in expressing his opinions. You can sound harsh without realizing it. You may not have to be harsh, but your wife deflates right before your eyes. You may not have meant to be harsh, but your wife deflates right before your eyes. As you simply stated the facts and firmly gave your opinion, you clamp down on her air hose. A few years ago, one of our teenage sons was talking to Sarah in what she considered a very harsh way. She said firmly, "David, please don't speak to me that way." According to Sarah, he looked at her as if she were from another planet. He said, "What do you mean? That's how I talk to my friends." "Guess what?" Sarah replied, "I'm not one of your friends. I'm your mother, and I'm a woman." So David got a good lesson that day entitled Why You Shouldn't Be Harsh 101. For more instructions, see appendices A, B, and C. And one more thing. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, remember that if you are good-willed and open to your wife emotionally, she will feel close to you and open with you shenaniganly. To put it another way, you must not be open to get shenanigans. A wife sees through that and is turned off shenaniganly. But when you authentically meet her emotional needs, she'll be empathetic to your shenanigan needs. God has designed marriage to be symbiotic. You will find more ideas in the list of tips below, but the main thing is to trust your wife's heart. Open yourself to her, and you will stay off the crazy cycle as the energizing cycle hums along nicely. Your wife feels you are open to her when you share your feelings, telling about your day and difficulties. You say, "Let's talk." Ask her what she's feeling and ask for her opinions. Your face shows you want to talk. Relaxed body language, good eye contact. You take her for a walk to talk and reminisce about how you met, or perhaps you talk about the kids and problems she may be having with them. You pray with her. You give her your full attention. No grunting responses while trying to watch TV, read the newspaper, or write emails. You discuss financial concerns, possible job changes, or ideas for your future. And that is the end of Chapter 10.